The road home felt longer than the road away. Each step pressed against tired muscles. Dust clung to skin already worn by hunger. The sun felt heavier than it once had. Every mile carried not excitement now, but memory. He remembered laughter. He remembered meals shared without fear. He remembered a voice that once called his name with warmth instead of silence. Now that same voice existed only in his imagination. With every step, doubt rose like a shadow. What if he refuses me? What if the door is closed? What if I have destroyed what cannot be rebuilt? Shame has a way of walking beside hope. They traveled together. The young man rehearsed his words again and again, not because he expected them to fix anything, but because he needed something to hold on to. Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants. He practiced saying it without trembling. He practiced saying it without tears, but his voice kept breaking. Because humility is honest, and honesty exposes pain. Back home, the fields still breathed with life. Seasons continued even when hearts were broken. Servants still rose early. Animals still moved through familiar routines. The household functioned, but one thing had not changed. Every evening the father walked to the road. He did not know when or if the boy would return. He had no message, no sign, no assurance, only love. Love that refuses to stop watching. Love that waits without demanding. Love that hopes even when logic says to stop. Some evenings the road stayed empty. Some evenings shadows played tricks on tired eyes. But the father returned again the next day, and the next. On one ordinary afternoon, the road shimmered in the heat. Dust danced in the air. At first the figure was only a blur, a shape, movement against the horizon. The father paused. His heart recognized something before his mind could confirm it. The walk was slower. The posture was weaker, the silhouette thinner. But something about the way the figure leaned forward, something about the way the steps hesitated. It was his son. Not the son who left with confidence, but the son who had been reshaped by suffering. Compassion broke through restraint. The father lifted his robe and ran. In that culture, dignified men did not run. Running exposed legs, running invited shame. Running suggested urgency and loss of control. But love does not consult reputation when restoration is within reach. The father ran through dust and heat and breathlessness. Neighbors would have stared, servants would have been stunned, but the father saw only one thing: his child was coming home. The son barely lifted his eyes before strong arms wrapped around him. He expected distance. He received closeness. He expected judgment. He received tears. The smell of filth met the fragrance of home. Rags pressed against the fine fabric. And the father did not pull away. The son tried to speak. "Father, I have sinned." But the father's embrace interrupted the speech. Grace does not wait for perfect confession. Grace moves first. "Bring the best robe," the father called. "Put a ring on his finger. Put sandals on his feet." Every command restored what shame had stripped away. The robe covered disgrace. The ring restored authority. The sandals marked him as son, not servant. He was not being tolerated. He was being honored. "This son of mine was dead," the father said, "and now he is alive again. He was lost, and now he is found." Music filled the house. Fire warmed the air. Bread was broken again. Life returned where silence once ruled. But restoration always creates tension. Because grace disrupts fairness. Not everyone celebrated. While music filled the house, another heart grew heavy in the fields. The older brother had spent the day working. His hands were calloused. His movements were familiar. His discipline was steady and reliable. He had not wasted his father's resources. He had not chased pleasure. He had not abandoned responsibility. He had stayed. And sometimes, staying quietly builds pride. As the sun lowered and shadows stretched across the land, He began his walk home. He expected the usual stillness, the predictable rhythm of evening. Instead, he heard laughter, music drifted across the fields, voices carried joy. He stopped. Something was wrong. He called a servant. "What is happening?" he asked. The servant answered simply, "Your brother has returned. Your father has killed the fattened calf because he has him back safe and sound." The words landed like an insult. Returned, celebrated, safe and sound. A fire rose in his chest. Not relief, not gratitude, anger. Years of unspoken comparison surged to the surface. He refused to enter the house. He stood outside the light, just like his brother once stood outside the family. But for a different reason. Distance can exist even when you never leave home. The music continued without him. Laughter echoed. Inside, grace was unfolding. Outside, resentment was tightening its grip. The father noticed the absence, and once again, he went out. The same father who ran to the rebellious son now walked gently toward the faithful one. Love does not choose favorites. It pursues both kinds of lostness. The older brother's words spilled out. "All these years I have served you. I never disobeyed your commands, yet you never gave me even a young goat to celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours comes back, who wasted your property on reckless living, you kill the fattened calf for him." Notice his language. "Not my brother, this son of yours." Resentment separates even blood. He did not see relationship. He saw fairness. He did not see mercy. He saw imbalance. His obedience had become transactional. He stayed, not because he loved the Father deeply, but because he expected reward. His faithfulness was fueled by entitlement, and now grace offended him, because grace cannot be earned. The Father answered gently, "My son, you are always with me. Everything I have is yours, but we had to celebrate, because your brother was dead and is alive again. He was lost, and now is found." The Father reminded him of something simple, yet profound. Presence itself was the reward. The older son had lived in the house, but never fully lived in the relationship. He had inherited proximity, but not intimacy. The music continued. The doorway remained open. The invitation stood, but the story ends without resolution. We never learn if the older brother went inside, because Jesus left the question hanging, not for curiosity, but for conviction. Some of us leave the house physically, some of us never leave, but our hearts drift far. Some of us chase pleasure, some of us chase perfection. Both can become forms of lostness. The younger son discovered his brokenness through hunger. The older son revealed his brokenness through bitterness. One was lost in rebellion, the other was lost in self-righteousness, and both needed the same grace. The father stood between two sons, one restored, one resistant, both loved, both invited. The story ends not with closure, but with a question aimed directly at the listener. Where are you standing? Inside the celebration or outside the door? Near the Father or merely near His house? The story does not end with a decision. There is no final scene where the older brother steps into the light. There is no recorded embrace between the brothers. There is no closing celebration that resolves the tension. Jesus leaves the doorway open, because this story was never meant to stay inside the story. It was meant to walk into the listener's life. Somewhere between the music inside the house and the silence outside the door, a question hangs in the air. Not a loud question, not an accusing one, a quiet, personal one. Where are you standing? Are you the younger son who chased freedom until freedom collapsed into emptiness? Are you carrying the weight of regret, the echo of wasted seasons, the fear that you have gone too far to return? Or are you the older brother, faithful in appearance but heavy in heart? Have you obeyed outwardly while quietly resenting what others receive freely? Have you served God without truly enjoying Him? Jesus told this story to religious people. People who knew the rules, people who honored the traditions, people who believed they were already close to God. And yet they stood outside grace without realizing it, because proximity does not guarantee intimacy. You can live in the house and still miss the heart of the Father. The Father never forced either son. He allowed one to leave. He invited one to enter. Love does not manipulate. Love invites. The younger son was welcomed home, not because he deserved it, but because he belonged. The older son was already home, but he needed to learn how to belong. The door remains open, not just in the story, but in real life. Grace still calls the distant. Grace still softens the hardened. Grace still waits for the willing. The road still stretches outward, and the Father still watches. Maybe you recognize yourself in this story. Maybe you left something sacred behind in pursuit of something shiny and empty. Maybe you stayed faithful but lost joy somewhere along the way. Maybe you carry shame quietly. Maybe you carry resentment silently. Maybe you simply feel tired. The invitation is not complicated. Come home. Not to a building, not to a religion, not to performance. Come back to relationship. Come back to grace. Come back to the God who runs toward broken people. You do not have to clean yourself first. You do not have to rehearse perfection. You do not have to earn acceptance. You only have to turn. The Father meets movement with mercy. The table is still set. The robe still waits. The ring still signifies belonging. The music still plays for every soul that chooses life over pride, humility over distance, love over fear. And if you are standing outside tonight, arms crossed, heart guarded, spirit tired, the Father is still speaking gently. My child, everything I have is yours, not as a contract, not as a reward system, but as inheritance of love. The story closes quietly. No forced ending, no dramatic resolution, just an open door and a choice.
If you find this video quite interesting and educative, please subscribe, like, and share this content with others. Visit our YouTube channel for more videos.